Hello, my friends. I'm Rachel Archelaus. I am here with Carrie Roldan. We come to you from the Intuitive Art Academy, and we're here to talk about not having to work. This has been coming up all year for me, for my clients, in passing, and there are definite reasons why this is coming up. It's, becoming accessible to us on a larger scale energetically. We are reaching that level of alignment. But of course, it's a huge topic. It might be triggering for you. We're going to get into all of it. We're going to see how Carrie feels about it. We welcome your questions. Leave them in the chat or in the comments if you're watching on replay. So this is huge, and we're going to get into it. Thanks for coming. Carrie, what does this bring up for you?
Well, it's so funny. I actually did see the topic ahead of time, which doesn't always happen. And I had kind of like an anger response to that. And yet okay, here's where I am. I absolutely believe it. And part of me doesn't. Can that even be? Can I believe something absolutely and also not? And so it made me angry because, well, I guess it depends on what you mean by work, right? If you just mean have a job versus have a business. But like I keep seeing things or hearing things about this is the way the world is going, is that people are finding ways to have a life and bring money in where they're not working. And I really want that. And a lot of my life and a lot of my work doesn't feel like work. But I don't yet have in my life just money falling from the sky. And so yeah, there was a little bit of anger response to this topic of like, ooh, so good. And also, and maybe because I know like sometimes we sit here as experts or people who have done this or doing this, and on this particular day, I am not feeling that. Like I'm doing somebody else's work right now for a banquet that I have tonight. And I had a client call before this, which was lovely and amazing, but it was also like something on my calendar that I had to show up for. So yeah, I don't know what you meant by the topic, Rachel, but I'm feeling a little triggered by this. So if you're in the chat, let us know if you feel triggered or excited.
Yeah. Speaking of the chat, hello, Gina Maria. Hello, Sandra. Hello, Guillaume. So what did I mean by this? You don't have to work. I mean all of it. So I mean a life where you still do things for a money exchange where it doesn't feel like work. I mean, a lot of futurists right now are talking about a time when robots do everything, AI does everything. And so there's a universal income where we don't have to work. There are a lot of different kinds of people are coming at the same topic. And there's a good reason for that, because if you come down to where I like to talk about it, we are light beings, we are energy. We, if you go up a few dimensions to like Intimate Aliens, she doesn't even have a body per se, one that seems physical. She doesn't eat, she doesn't need money, and she can just poof whatever she wants to play with in the moment. And we aren't going there right now per se. We live there on one level, but as human beings, we are ascending to really station ourselves quite clearly in the fifth dimension, where we will still have a body, but it will be much less maintenance. And, I've gone through my entire life with lots of health issues, but I've always had this sense of like, I don't need to know what's going on inside because it doesn't matter. Like, it's just mush in there, like, I know that doesn't make sense necessarily if you haven't had that feeling your whole life, but like, it's all going to take care of itself in one way or another. And of course I do certain things too. I also show up to work most days, but we're going to the level of allowing, and really where we're going to is this embodiment of worthiness to actualize who we really are. We are already beings that could manifest anything in the moment. Jim Self always talks about putting your hand out and having the apple appear. And that's where we're going. There are people who are already there. And it's really about embodying that worthiness of like, okay, I can allow this because I believe myself to be a source being, or I really truly believe myself to be love, or I believe that I'm worthy of receiving that, and because I'm still making an impact on this planet. I mean, if you think about how much guilt goes on in your daily life as to why you do the things that you do, it might not be apparent on the surface, but do you straighten yourself up before your partner comes home, or do you try to look busy at work so that your boss thinks you're doing something? Like, there's a lot of showmanship that we already put into our lives that if you could take that out right now, your life would already look a lot less like work. So it's a huge topic, and I'll go anywhere you want to go because I love talking about this.
Okay, so you hit me. It doesn't happen so much anymore in my life, but I do remember, God, I spent several years in my early marriage feeling like I needed to look busy. Oh, so I guess this was when I had little kids and I was a stay-at-home mom. I mean, I'm still a stay-at-home mom, but like it was before I had sort of found my work at home, right? So before I was where I was just a mom. And I would feel like when my husband came home, I needed to look busy to justify my staying home. Like I needed to look like, oh, I was up and doing something. Like I wasn't just sitting on the couch all day. Like when I knew I wasn't just sitting on the couch all day. But I do remember doing that. And like there was such freedom. And then I would resent him for like getting home and laying down because I would like when he got home, like oftentimes like more work happened for me. And um he would be like, I just need to relax. I worked all day. And I just remember what I like, and I had this whole story in my head that like he had an expectation that I was like working. And when I just was like, oh, I'm just going to rest. Like when I just started like not doing stuff, like listening to myself, I noticed like, oh, actually no judgment is coming from him. Like that was the story in my head as it turned out. So I do get that. And you and I both know the more we embody worthiness, like, I mean, that is a huge topic in our aligned up level and the aligned income, like all of that matters. So I get it. I get it. So now what I'm hearing is, shit, Carrie, it's time. And actually, the conversation that I was in right before this kind of reminded me of that already. It's time to up my feeling of worthiness. Which, guys, I don't know if Rachel did this on purpose, but what a perfect time of year to do that, right? Did you do this on purpose, Rachel? Okay. But as we're as we are often, so many of us like making goals for the next year, looking at our 2023 and thinking about what we want to happen. Like if we whatever it is we want to happen, we have to feel worthy of it. Not we have to become worthy of it. We already are worthy of it. But we have to feel worthy of it now. That's going to make me yawn.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about not working though. Sorry. I see there's a comment. But
yeah, well, I want to say hi to Shop Photography Co. Hello, good to see you here. And I was actually thinking about you when I came up with this topic because I know it's like so dear to your heart. And we do have a comment from S. Kidwell. Oh my God, yes. Removing the showmanship, removing the guilt. I'm still healing from a lot of the trauma that relates to that. Yeah. hmm And Sandra is saying, yes, Carrie, I also felt the need to show my husband how much I did over the day. Yeah. And I remember, my dad commenting on things like that when he would get home from work and I was little. He'd be like, T, why are there toys all over the floor? What'd you do all day? And so that, it's ingrained in us at an early age to um, not only to meet other people's expectations and that's our job, which is so horrible, but also that, we are required to have some kind of service in order to maintain our lives, which um, I don't think is true. And it's becoming even less true um, as the years go by.
What do you mean by have some kind of service?
Well, even in the spiritual world, which is probably most attuned to this kind of idea of like we're worthy beings, we're source beings, of course, we have access to the resources that we want and need. There's this idea of, one of my favorite teachers, Denise DT, she has a mantra: I serve, I deserve. Which, that's fine if you're trying to build a business and you're trying to get into the mindset of it's okay for me to charge money. I understand that. But I think on a more fundamental level, that's also just brainwashing yourself to think that your money comes from your service, where I believe that your money can come from, well, there's no getting around that your money only comes from yourself, your higher self, your own channel of allowing. The story is, oh, it came from a tax refund, it came from a client, it came from I sold this sweatshirt, right? So the story can be whatever it happens to be, whatever our path of least resistance is, but it's always coming from our our higher self channel. That's how I feel about it anyway.
Sorry, that was my son's podiatrist calling. Um, okay, that I know. And that is, Rachel, this conversation is absolutely for me today. So I hope that all of you in the chat also feel like this conversation is absolutely for you today. But like, holy crap, I did not realize I was asking for this conversation. But I'm going back through but just my day so far and like, oh man, was I asking for this conversation? So you guys may actually just be watching me like work through resistance on this call. We'll see where it goes. But yes, I know that my money comes from my higher self. I know that I have allowed in a lot of cool, I have allowed money in a lot of cool ways already. And I know I'm continually asking my higher self for like new and fun and different ways for money to come in. And I was reminding myself today. So for those of you who don't know, Intimate Alien, once I had a conversation with her and I asked her about my money or something, and she said, oh, I see that you're asking for money, but you have a bucket on your head and you can only you're only allowing in just the money that's in the bucket. And then I like worked on some stuff, and the next time I saw her, she's like, good news, it's a kiddie pool now. It's like wider. And I'm wanting, right, to remove any and all containers, or at least make a massive funnel that's like where the money's just like having this joyful slide into me. But I found myself today kind of beating myself up about it. Like, what the F, Carrie? You know this stuff. Why are you struggling? Why are you not bringing in more money? And that's interesting, especially because I am bringing in plenty, right? And yet I have this big desire. And of course, I know when I'm looking at the lack of that's why I'm not letting it in. So, anyways, all this to be said, this is, I think, for me, Rachel, to be reminded, feel into my worthiness.
Yeah, feel into your worthiness and what it is that you want. right? Like this idea of, oh, okay, I want more abundance. I'm going to feel more abundant. There's things I can do every moment of the day to feel more abundant. I can look around and remind myself, oh my God, I'm in this house that I felt like was too abundant for me before we bought it. And now it's just right. Maybe we could even upgrade, like um we are, I mean, they call it, what do they call it? The negative bias in our brain, where we're looking for the problems, we're looking at the bad news, we're trying to steer ourselves away from danger instead of reminding ourselves that we are surrounded by comfort and joy and love and abundance. And um, that, people talk about that like it's a hardwired, ingrained thing in our brain. And maybe it is, right? Like I just discovered I have a hardwired thing in my brain that makes certain things difficult or impossible. But we can also do a lot with our own momentum. Like I can't journal at the same time every day. I can't even journal every day because of this thing in my brain. But if I want to, I can journal every other day or every 3 days at different times during the day, and I can still get it done if I really want to get it done. And it's the same thing with our attention. We can put our attention wherever we want if we can remember to. I think that's the biggest thing that I help people is like make little reminders of where you want your attention to go. I used to have like 20 post-its on my monitor of where I want my attention to go. And you can put them in your car. You can have a little bracelet. You can have a little totem on your desk. You can do whatever you need to do. Listen to your meditations while you're walking around or washing your dishes. You can listen to Abraham's when you're taking a walk. Like we have so much more power over our lives than we give ourselves credit for or that we utilize. And I mean, I'm not preaching just to you, I'm reminding myself as well. Like, I've had to do a lot recently after finding out how my brain is wired more distinctly to just remember that my higher self got me here. My higher self can still get me to where I want to go and beyond. And sure, I can't necessarily make a goal and then have it come to me, but I already knew that. What do I need to do to help things come along? I need to do this. I need to remind myself of abundance and love and joy and ease and flow and just rely, like sit back in the seat and let the bigger machine of me that's energetic do all the work. That's, how are we bringing this back around to today? If I let my bigger self orchestrate my income and orchestrate all the other things that I need in order to live, I get to sit back, follow my inspiration, do what makes me feel best in the moment. And that is assured. It's assured. And sorry, I have a lifetime of knowing that and seeing that happen and working with people over the last 10 years, seeing when they can relax and find a bit of peace and joy and doing what they want to do, that's when it floods in. Just a reminder, our group and my private coaching is on sale right now. So check the bottom of your email today for info on that. But I'm a very like logical kind of scientific person. And to talk about this, I sometimes realize like I'm probably not telling you the whole entire story every moment, because if you listen to us over the course of, let's say, a year, we're going to talk about all the steps to doing that. Like you want to have positive expectation. You want to be in a positive vibration as much as you can. It's like watching The Secret. The Secret alone isn't going to show you how to, master manifesting. Listening to one conversation isn't necessarily the way to master not having to work, right? We're not telling you that. But if you can find a way to feel worthy enough of allowing more into your life for doing less, which you can do. You can do that. It's gonna like definitely start you on that path of seeing the reality of it.
That feels good. So I just want to let you know, thanks for that. I hope that you guys are, if you needed a shift, shifting along with me. I think one of the things that maybe I get hung up on or other people can get hung up on, and you touched on it, was like you can do what you love and money can flow to you from that. And I think there is a percentage of people who we don't want to let money in from things we love doing because we don't want to turn the things we love doing into work. So I'm just wondering if you could talk to that for a minute.
Yeah, I hear this all the time. And I think of course there's some merit there. You know, if you know yourself and you know the moment that you pick up the pen. I got paid to write a movie last year. Did it turn writing that movie into work? Yeah, of course, because I had deadlines. I had, someone else's source material that I was adapting. I had a contract, you know what I mean? Like, of course it turned it into work. But did that mean that it wasn't as enjoyable? Hard to say, right? But I got a lot out of it and it was an incredible experience. Was it challenging? Absolutely. But walking up a mountain is challenging too, and I do that for fun. So I think we have to honestly assess what it is that gives us joy. I get joy from challenge all the time. And I mean, I go to a relatively hard workout as often as I possibly can, as often as my body will let me, and it is the best hour of my day. You know, I'm I think hard is something that's like more akin to resistance, and maybe we want to steer clear of. Maybe it's not so natural to us. Maybe we don't get a lot of joy out of the friction bits of it. But I think challenge is something that we thrive on as humans. And if we're not looking for a challenge, if we're not willing to accept a challenge with something that we want to do, maybe we're just burnt out, and that's okay too. There are tons of days where I just basically sit on the couch and watch TV or, go for a walk or do anything except work. Sometimes answering an email for me is too much. I can't do it that day, and that's okay. I think we just need to tap into ourselves and know, when do I need to rest? When am I ready for a challenge? When do I need to change the subject? And then it becomes like, okay, I have enough energy reserve to take on the challenge that I think I'm going to love because this is what I love to do. And I'm going to get paid for it, which is another bonus. So it's really so personal. Watch out for burnout.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say that because I know there's a lot of people who do have that. It's, I don't know, a redirect in your brain, right? That work has to be hard, that work has to be unfun. And so I think I'm one of those people where, like, for me, the idea of work doesn't sound great. But there are lots of things that I love doing that I happily accept money for. If people say, "What do you do for work?" I answer with those things, even though, I mean, I just feel like I show up and be awesome. Like, it doesn't feel like work. Um, but I wanted to make that distinction because I do think that belief can hold a lot of people back. That belief that, like, oh, if I charge for it, then I'm going to lose the love for it. And so I like this idea of, like, well, but don't make it work, make it a challenge. I love that. I love that so much. And I love it because we are hardwired as humans for challenge. Like, this is an Abrahamism. It's also like big in the world of athletics, right? Like, we think that we train for the championship, right? but actually we're not. We're training for the journey of training. Like we're training. The championship's just like something to do. We're training for the feeling we get every day and the doing of it, and for the aspiring, and for the like. That's why we're doing what we're doing. So, um, is that work? Yeah, I guess.
I know. It's really about semantics, and like we work hard at the gym, right? That's kind of what you're saying. And yeah, there's something to that. And I think it's just perspective, right? You can see work as a positive, something that's enhancing your experience on this planet, or we can see it, like I said on this, this live stream title, you don't have to work. You don't have to do things you don't want to do for money. I think hopefully, if you have been following us for a while, that's really clear. You don't have to do things you don't want to do for money. Maybe you're not starting there. Maybe right now you are doing things you don't want to do. I mean, I just realized like, oh, hey, there's actually a couple things I could offload that would make my life experience even better. Like I'm always finding how can I enhance my experience? How can I enhance my ease and my joy? Okay, there are things that I'm still doing that maybe aren't a 100 on my joy scale. Um, and if you're starting off in a job that you don't like, but you have to go to because you have to pay the bills, you don't know any other way, that's okay. You're not doing anything wrong. But if there is a kernel in you that wants to have a different experience, just know that you can get there if you do these things. I mean, internalize a feeling of worthiness. That will get you really, really far because when you start to change your energy, regardless of where you're starting, the outside world that you currently have will change. So you do the inner work and your outer world will change, maybe not overnight, maybe not for 3 months, but it will. And your current life will lighten up and the path forward will show itself. So I feel like that's so comforting. You don't have to jump ship. You don't have to do anything radical. Just start paying more attention to how you're feeling and how you're treating yourself, and the outside world will take care of itself.
I just want to vouch for that.
Mm,
And also like say, and that's why I love having these conversations, because I think we need constant reminders. I was also thinking about people who literally don't have to work, and how work and worthiness, so our work in the world and worthiness, like we have tied those together. So I'm thinking about trust fund kids, or people who created a tech startup at sold it at 21 and made $1 billion or whatever. Like those people don't have to work, but they also have to feed their soul. And I don't know how many, like, I actually don't have stats on this, but I can't imagine that there's very many humans on the planet who like don't have to work, that don't apply themselves in some meaningful way to something.
exactly. Yeah. When I was thinking about this topic, you don't have to work, but you'll probably want to do something. Like I think there are some people who are going to want to luxuriate on the couch all day and take in the beauty of the air. I mean, Eckhart Tolle says he sits around a lot. He just stares out into space like all day long, and I totally get that, right? That's amazing. And I understand the feeling of how blissful that can feel. I'm not there all day, but I get there and it's wonderful. And so the idea that our self-worth comes from our actions is not true. It can be hard to divorce yourself from that, but most of us, we will want to do something. I like being creative in my spare time. I like listening to music. talking to friends, going and being active. And there was a time, I don't know, a couple of years ago where I spent most of my year traveling and doing things like that, having my business on automation. And it was amazing. It was so, so fun and so, so cool. Now, was I working? I mean, sort of. I set my business up to work for me. I would check in once in a while, but Eric and I even went on sabbatical for, I think it was a month where I didn't really check in at all. So we can now have systems work for us if we want to go that route, or we can find ourselves in a position where money is provided for us in a different way. You know, the story changes, right? But we're still able to do what we want. Um, or what we want to do is the way that we're bringing in money. So I think what we're kind of talking about is just expanding our idea of I get to choose first what I want to do, knowing that money will find me somehow, whether it's directly related to what I'm doing. Maybe I'm hiking, YouTube videos, and that's how I make all my money, which I follow plenty who do that. Or I'm hiking and nobody knows and nobody sees me, but there's something else going on in the background. Like I have dividends paid out to me from my investments, or I get disability or something. I don't know. Like it's all the same. It's just whatever story we're using to pay for our lifestyle. But if we are in sync with our lifestyle, if we are aligned enough with our own worthiness and the feeling of abundance and security and certainty and all those wonderful words, which are vibrations, then that rearranges itself for you.
Yes. Yes, 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 yes. And Rachel, I can't tell you how much I needed to hear all of this again today.
We got some cool comments, though. Should we go
Well,
through?
yeah, I was looking at Dale's. She says, so then how to get a worthiness boost? Any fresh tips?
I love this, Dale. Thanks for asking, because I think however it works for you, when I want a boost, like last year, I was aligning to unconditional love, and I would go into a meditation, listening to white noise or my breath, and I would just repeat, I am love. I accept love. I would just say unconditional love. I would just try to find the feeling by repeating words. And that got me there. That was amazing. But I love to meditate. So it might not work for someone else, right? If you're thinking, I am worthy, worthiness is all I am, right? Maybe that won't work for you. I don't know. Maybe you need to go on a run and feel the feeling. Maybe you need to be in movement like Dale, you're a dancer. Maybe dancing to the idea of worthiness is what is going to help you feel it. You can listen to a guided meditation on worthiness. I'm sure there are tons out there. I have one inside of, actually, it's on the Intuitive Art. I think it's on one of my YouTube channels. You can search for worthiness meditation. We did it at an aligned up level. So basically, what is your path of least resistance to feeling worthy? You can even do an intuitive art drawing on that. Or just ask your higher self and let something show up, like it's inherent in us, right? Like our larger, higher dimensional self only knows worthiness. It never wavers from that. So it's not going to be that hard to find.
Rachel, one of the things that I did with you, and I do it whenever I remember, is Rachel, you had me one time be like, see the word, right? So I would see the word worthiness and like notice the font, and I see it in the cheesiest, like 1980s MTV, like font, like the word worthiness is like moving around in front of me. And then you said, now put it in your body. And like that works every time for me. Every time. That silly 80s, it's like black and purple kind of, but it works.
Nice. I love that.
And Dale's loving, she says, ooh, more dances and new music. I love meditation time. Love.
Excellent.
And Dale has a hammock. And I kind of feel like you cannot be in a hammock and not also feel worthy.
Yes, I love hammocks too. Okay, let's see. Well, Gina Maria loves challenges, which I can tell reading your resume. Like, this woman does amazing things, and they're all like super impressive and definitely, I would say, challenging. So that doesn't surprise me. And she also made this comment, which I thought was really cool. So she said, burning out is a challenge. And I would agree. Like, when you recognize that you're in burnout, it's like, okay, what do I do now? You know, um, I was feeling a little overwhelmed recently, and I just knew, all right, I need to do a lot of nothing. Like Christina is saying that she loves luxuriating on the couch all day. That's pretty much what I've been doing too. And it's felt incredible. I've just loved it, you know? So knowing what we need in any moment is really important so that we can give it to ourselves. And that's part of worthiness, right? I'm worthy of feeling good. So what do I need to do to feel good? I've been taking baths and laying on the couch, and that's feeling good.
I love that about like this idea of laying on the couch or my best friend says, like when we say, well, what's your hobby? Some people are like, I love running. I love to do this. She's like, leisure. My hobby is leisure. like, and I love that. And I think that in the past I was afraid to do too much of that because I thought that there was such a thing as too much of that. I thought that I might lay down on the couch and just never get up. I thought that and I think that leaning into worthiness helped me to trust myself, that I could listen to myself when I'm starting to feel burned out. Don't push harder until it's done. Stop. Right. And you're not going to stop forever. I think that was a scary thing for me, was like, if I don't do it, what will happen? And now I can know, like, I have a big list of things to do and I don't need to get them all done today. Like, if looking at that list depletes me, I can put it down until I'm ready to pick it up. And that, like, understanding that and then trusting in that, trusting myself, and then like watching the miracles that happen from like, hey, when I felt called to do it, it was because it was exactly the right time. Cool stuff happened because I waited.
Yeah. But let's go deeper here too, because for you, you have a drive to do things, which is why it was challenging for you to lie around. But for other people, the lying around is all they want to do. And that's okay. Like, that's what we're getting to, guys. We're talking about this, like, whatever you want to do is exactly where you, I was going to say should be. Like, that is the beauty of who you are. You can trust yourself. And even if you're not at the point right now where you're independently wealthy and forever and ever and ever you could lie on the couch and not worry about a thing, you'll probably find that if you can lie on the couch and be okay with it, find that luxuriating feeling, find that like peaceful, oh, relaxing, relieving feeling, good things will happen in those moments, because you're in the allowing place. So I I live in this world of extremes where, I mean, I want to be on a movie set and overseeing things and writing and producing, but I also don't ever want to do anything ever again in my entire life, right? Like, I have these feelings all the time. And so I'm always like throwing my hands up, like, whatever, just deliver whatever to me and I'll just do it and it'll be great. And sometimes I do nothing and sometimes I do huge, big, I was going to say extraordinary things, but extraordinary things. Sometimes I get to do those things. And I just like, I'm getting to this place where, like I said, all year I felt this way of like, whatever, it's just going to come and I'm going to do it and I'm going to be fine. Everything's always fine. I always make more than enough money. I always have more than enough friends and support and love. And what comes to me, I enjoy. And whether it looks like work or it doesn't, never really seems to matter. Everything just keeps going. So I'm just going to keep doing more of what I love and ignoring all the things that I don't, basically. And they will find someone to do them. That always happens. So I think it's just so fun to trust yourself. It can also be scary, but it's really, really fun too, because you get to be the orchestrator. You get to be you're guiding everything. Like you're plugged into that seat, which is really fun.
So I want to read Christina Shaw Photography's comment, but I also just want to say, you said it can be really scary and really fun to trust yourself. And I think at first it's scary until you realize how well it works, and then it's fun. So check out what Christina wrote, though. I thought it was pretty cool. I love doing nothing and receiving everything.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Same, Christina.
Yes. And you know what? That's how it works, because there is no cause and effect on the physical plane, because everything happens from that energetic level out, right? Like there's energy, there's thought, there's emotion, and then there's physicality, and there's maybe more in there. I don't know. But like that's how, dis-ease is created. That's how physical dollar bills are created. That's how meeting someone in real life is created. It's always worked out ahead of time energetically. And so we have already received before it's physical. And so do we need to do anything to receive? Not if you think about it in those terms. Now, of course, we're here on the physical plane, and some people more than others love the idea of going on a wild goose chase or doing certain things to receive. And that's part of their joy. But if your joy is to do nothing and receive, then that's totally great. Like that's part of who we are. We are built with that technology.
So I want to tell you, I don't know if I'm changing subjects, but when you said there are people who all they ever want to do is lie on the couch, I took issue with that. I was like, no, there's not. Like, no. They'll lie on the couch until they feel like doing something inspired, right? Like, so I have some judgment around that for sure, because I'm like, they'll lie on the couch. What if they're lying on the couch and they think that they just want to lie on the couch, but it's really because they're too scared to do what they really want to do? Like, that is what I'm like, that is where my brain went. Like, I have a hard time believing that there's any human on the planet who doesn't want to get up off the couch at some point and feel like they're doing something besides going to the bathroom.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that either one is true, but like, why not? Who cares? I mean, you like to think maybe like get up and eat and do other wonderful, relaxing things. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe have sex. I don't know.
Rachel. Okay, you are talking to someone who, like, what I love to do is help people to discover how great they can really be. And so, like, one of the great joys in my life is helping people who decide they want to do something recognize that they can do that and so much more. And so I don't even understand the idea that someone would not want to do something. That I'm
But
no.
that is doing something. That's doing what you want to do, If that's what you want to do, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a great couch for lying around on. I lie around on that couch all the time.
You do.
I do.
But you do stuff.
So who cares? I think the point of this is that we're worthy beings regardless of what we do.
Yes.
But if you are coming from burnout and lying around is all you want to do, there's a good chance it's going to change. You're going to want to incorporate some more things into that life. But I bet there's people out there who just want to lay on the couch, and that's A-okay with me.
You know, you're making me think of, they did get up. Charlie's grandparents in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah. Well, only one of them got up, to be honest.
Oh, see, I've forgotten. Oh, yeah, the grandpa.
Yeah, the grandpa.
Everybody else still stayed in bed.
Yep. See? It's part of the movie that shaped my mind, so no wonder I'm okay with it.
Well, here's the truth, right? Obviously, like I'm having some judgment around that because like I do want to lie around a lot more than certain people in my life want to lie around. But I also really enjoy being like very active and very passionate, right? So it's hard for my little personality to imagine a personality that could find total contentment forever and ever just sitting on the couch. But hey, maybe that's what Eckhart Tolle's doing. But he's not.
Yeah.
He's also writing books and sharing what, right? Like,
well, he was.
yeah.
I don't know if he's come out with a new book in a really long time.
Yeah, I don't know either. No. Maybe he's just staring at ducks in a pond.
He is. Yeah, he's staring off into space and enjoying every second of it. I so dig that. I'm so into that. I love how we can have all these different expressions of what it looks like to be happy humans. I'm so into it.
I'm yawning. I'm intellectually receiving what you're saying, Rachel. But as often happens with me, there is like a very visceral, like, yes, and you've got to be kidding me. So, so that's where I am. Here's what I believe. I believe that there are like long phases of our lives where we want to lay around and do nothing. And as I'm thinking about other conversations we've had where souls who have been on the planet for a very short amount of time and like didn't get much opportunity but to lie around and do nothing and yet still serve their purpose. So I get it. And I think for most of us, the human experience wants a challenge. Maybe the challenge is stay on this couch. Oh, there's actually whole YouTube videos about that, right? Yes, as Kidwell, it is messing with me. But there are whole YouTube videos about people who can sit in this room for the longest or who can keep their hand on the car for the longest, right? Who could do nothing for the longest wins a prize. So maybe there is challenge in doing nothing.
Well, the thing is also, I mean, no one watching this or who we're talking to is a newborn. So we've already been through really long lives of doing lots and lots and lots of things. So we're not starting at zero. And even if it's not burnout making you want to just lie around, maybe you just are done. Like, I had that experience too. I mean, I remember talking to Eric about it. I lived so much life in like up until I was 30, like so much happening to me. I feel like I made all my mistakes early on so that I could just coast through the rest of my life. And even my higher self has said, like, you already did all the work. Just relax. You know what I mean? Like, I've created all the courses. I've done all the things. I'm just going to show up and do what I want to do. And he's like, yeah, you just got to relax. Like, I thought that when I sleep a lot, I sleep on average of like 11 hours a night, and I love it. It's amazing. But when Eric started working from home during the pandemic, I thought I had that twinge of like, oh, he's going to think I'm super lazy. He's getting up at like 6 in the morning and I'm sleeping till 10 and, but no, absolutely not. He loves it. He loves that I get to relax and take my time and do my own thing. And it's so aligned for me, as you guys know, to like not push myself and to just take it easy and to do what I want to do. And sometimes I'm super passionate and I'm creating for 12 hours, who knows? But I just love that. I don't even know why I started talking about this, but we didn't start from zero. You know, if we're feeling a huge drive to relax right now, that's going to take work. That's the work. It's like, I'm not going to care about what other people think. I'm not going to install expectations in them that aren't even there, like you said before, Carrie. I'm going to know that I'm worthy enough to just hang around and relax. I'm going to listen to my body because it's telling me that I'm tense and that I could use a little bit more downtime. Like, listening to those things is way important. It's way more important. It's way more enlightened than forcing ourselves to do things that we don't really want to do. So, I mean, I think that's kind of where I'm coming from, is like, it's a really valid thing to want to do, to lie around all the time. Like, I totally get it. Whether that's temporary or not is totally fine with me.
Well, I think you have to give yourself, at least for me, I had to give myself permission for it to maybe not, like, maybe this will never end.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yes, be okay with that.
And then, because that's how I could finally relax. So if you followed our journey for a while, like, relaxing used to be the hardest thing for me, like the hardest thing. Like, I would know your work is relaxing, and I would turn relaxing into work. Like, it was like, I'm gonna relax so hard right now. Like, um, so I am feeling pretty proud of myself, Rachel. I've come a really long way. And so much good has come to my life since I have allowed that relaxing. And I couldn't allow myself to really relax until I felt worthy of doing it. And that's the so, like, I couldn't really trust myself until I felt worthy of being trusted. Oh, I'm gonna yawn. And so, as we're thinking about this idea that you don't have to work, and I don't know if you put it in your email, but did you associate that with money, or did I associate it with money?
Well, I think most people work for money. So I think it's pretty connected in our culture.
Well, I just took tangent right now, but this is, I do feel like a huge percentage of us are hardwired for work. Like, there's people who like, that's why we go work out. Like, we like physical labor. We like to, like, you like hiking up a mountain. Like, there's work in that. And it made me think of like certain breeds of dogs, or like animals, that they're only going to be happy if they're working, if you give them a job. And I think that that was my resistance to the person on the couch forever, is like, I feel like as humans, like, we love work. So that was my full circle moment with that. um Christina has, I assume it's Christina, says doing nothing to me. Okay. And I'm like, oh, these are not doing nothing things. This is like, oh, this is, so you're helping me, Christina. Journaling, so not doing nothing. Watching TV, amazing. But like, I'm on a journey every time I'm watching TV. Playing board games, watching my kids play, taking a walk with no destination, listening to YouTube videos that resonate, eating delicious food. I don't see any of those things as doing nothing at all. I see all of those things as being present. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, and that just goes to show that, like, we all have our own judgments, our own context for what doing nothing means, for what working means. Sometimes it can lean to the negative, or it can lean to the positive, or it can be neutral. We get to decide what those things mean to us. I think the moral of the story with what we're trying to share today is that you get to decide what you do with those things, because you're worthy enough to do exactly what you want to do and receive all of the support and resources that you desire. So that is good to know. That's really good to know.
So as I lead into 2023, Thanks for all the yawns today, you guys. As I lean into 2023, and I think about expanding my own capacity for feeling my worthiness, the question that arose in my mind was, what am I tolerating that I don't want to tolerate anymore? Right? Like that's sort of what you were saying about the tasks in your business that you realize, I can find ways to get these done. And this is the perfect time for this conversation. So I hope maybe that is inspiring some of you guys thinking as you're leaning into your own worthiness and learning to relax and trust yourself. For me, it's a feeling of softening, like just this like relaxing. Like I know when I'm there, that's when I'm allowing everything I want. That's why I always make money on vacation. Like always, man, I should go on vacation. um, I lost my train entirely. So someone pick it up. Pick up.
Well, actually, so Christina is saying exactly this feeling that we're talking about. She loves lying on the couch and binging amazing TV at night. It's so soothing. Yeah, that's a great, great word. Softening, soothing. Like, what can you do to calm your nervous system, get present, and just like snuggle into life? That's so, so worthwhile. Guillaume, I'm so glad that you found this fascinating. Thanks for coming. Well, I'll just share this because she's talking about me. Rachel helped me recognize during my third pregnancy that anything I enjoyed doing was me in receiving mode. My judgment of what I was doing was the only resistance in the way of the receiving. Yeah. When we remove that judgment, we remove the glue that's like keeping us there, keeping us out of that receiving. So, yeah, soothing, softening, finding worthiness. It's all so, so worthwhile, whatever you want to call it. Carrie and I do this for a living. This is what we help people do. If you want to join us in our aligned income coaching group, it is 60% off just for a few more days. So hop in if you want to join us. We do 3 live calls a month. One with Carrie, dream casting, which is like amping up the feeling of your dream and everyone sharing in that. It's amazing for building momentum. I do a coaching call, which, you talk about anything you want. You bring your personal stuff to the call. Everyone always benefits from hearing it. And we do an intimate alien coaching call where she just like brings that higher perspective and elevates all of us. I love being a part of those, even from a little bit behind where she's doing. And then there are all the courses that you have access to where there's no obligation to use them. There's no pressure, but they're there if you want them. Psychic development, business, intuition, how to make a video, all kinds of things there for your pleasure, all, intuitively guiding you through your intuition, right? There's no hustle culture in anything that I do. So it's there for you. Also, private coaching with me is on sale, and I would love to work with you. So go to the link in the email I sent you today, and you'll get to fill out a little form, book a free call with me so we can chat about if it's right for you. And there you go. All right, Carrie, what do you want to end with?
Well, I just wanted to say, we talk about our groups a lot. We talk about our group a lot. We talk a lot about the value of being there and what comes from those 3 calls a month. But you just keep casually mentioning like all of the courses are there for you. Just guys, there is so much value there. There is so much. And Rachel's exactly right. It's all there for you when you feel guided to it. But I do suggest, even for those of you who are already in the group, like just go over there every now and again, take a peek and see like what's speaking to me right now. Because like Rachel said, she did a lot. She lived a lot of life up until this moment, created a lot. And there is the word that's coming is delicious. There's so much deliciousness in those courses. I'm remembering like when I took the psychic development course for the first time, It's freaking life-changing. So, there's so much. Gina Maria's in our, she's like, I know. It truly is amazing. And even if that, like, that is worth the price of entry, it's actually worth way more than the price of entry.
Yeah, we calculated all the value. It's like $14,000 over 6 months. And right now in the sale, you pay, I think, $12.99 if you want to pay in full. So there's also a payment plan. So it's totally worth it. What I like to say is regardless of whether it's actual money that you receive, you will receive at least 10 times that in value coming back to you by working on yourself in this way with someone like me and Carrie, because you can't not, like, that's what we do. We help you get in the receiving mode. And if you do it, if you do the work that we're suggesting, you're just opening your own channel and your stuff is going to start flooding in. So it's fun to watch. It's fun for you to say what's happening in the group. We are all celebrating with you. So it's a good time. It's totally a good time. And yeah, I love it.
And I know we're at time, but you guys know I am big on building teams. And that's why it's so fun to do this together, to do this like locked arms with other people on the same journey and celebrating with them and receiving with them and doing all the things we do together. Amazing. So I hope we see you there. But yeah, we are at time, Rachel, and I feel so much better than when this call was started. So I take like full ownership of the topic. This was absolutely for me today. So thank you. Hope it served you guys, and it looks like it served you guys in the chat as well. So that's a bonus.
I know, I love this. I feel like we could keep going. Like, thank you everyone for all your comments and your input. This was a really fun conversation to have, and I really appreciate you. So if we don't see you, I guess we'll see you next week, but happy holidays, whatever you're celebrating. We'll see you soon, and maybe we'll see you in our group.
Yeah.
Love to you all. Bye, Jane. Bye, Christina. Bye, S. Bye, Guillaume and Gina Maria. See you soon.
Bye, guys.